Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today is the 25th of November, year of our Lord 2020-2024. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, a.k.a. Motown Noah. Got a big show for you guys today, as is customary, here at the Coping Hour. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? We cover all the biggest stories, and we cover them from all angles. We leave it all in the show, and we do the full 60 minutes. I got some news for you up top. Some bad news. The good news is we got a great show for you today, folks. The bad news is there's not going to be a show on Friday. It's just not going to be able. I won't be able to materialize. The show itself will not be able to materialize. I will not be able to manifest a 60-minute program for Friday. Just with Thanksgiving being on Thursday, I don't want to tape that night because I'm going to be all fooded out, probably going to get a little drunk. And then also because we're hosting a little mini Thanksgiving. We've never done that before, but we're going to be having mother-in-laws coming over, may have some other people. So it's just not going to be in the cards for me to be able to, like, where I film this, where I tape this show is in the living room. That's where my setup is. So, people are going to be over. I don't really want to disrupt the flow of it's just not going to be able to happen. So the next time that you hear from me after today will be in a week, 7 days from now. Now, this is not an excuse for me to be like, hey, if the Lions lose on Thanksgiving, you're not going to hear. I'll still talk about it in the following episode if that is what ends up happening. But we'll talk about all that in a second. We got Thanksgiving on the horizon, folks. I don't know if there's a holiday that I like more. I love Christmas. But I love Christmas so much that it doesn't even count because I'm so materialistic. And for so many years, I used to be like, because that comes with like such a, not a stigma, but it's like, oh, materialism is a plague in our culture as humans. Oh, you're materialistic. So it's like that episode of The Office when Michael buys Ryan the iPod back when it was like $400, but they had like a $20 limit on the gifts that they were supposed to buy. But he wanted to express how much he really likes Ryan, right? I care about you an iPod's worth. That's me, right? You want to show me like how much you care about me, how much you love me. Buy me cool shit. It doesn't have to be expensive. That's not what I'm saying here. But it has to be cool. And so, like, the flavor of the year for me, my new form of neurodivergence that I've identified, my new Funko Pop, as it were, hats. Oh, my God, I love hats. And I had a buddy in town maybe like 3 weeks ago at this point, and his wife works at Anthropologie, and I was in an Anthropologie months ago at this point. And I was like, wow, this hat's really cool. And I sent in a little group chat I have with him and my brother, I sent a picture. I was like, look how sweet this hat is. And so he eventually, he was like, hey, wife, will you buy this hat for Nick and we can surprise him with it? Well, months later, I finally get to see him. He's back in Michigan. He just comes to town on a whim. I forgot that even happened. And he gave me the hat. You talk about love language. It's not just materialism. It's hats. Oh my God. I love a good hat. Do you know how many I cycled through before I started taping this show? 6. I kept sitting. And by the way, I'm still not happy with the choice that I made. I wish I picked, for those of you listening in the car, you're like, I can't even see you, so it doesn't matter. But I can see me for this entire show, this entire program. I'm looking at myself. I kind of wish I picked a different hat. I kind of wish I picked something different. I wanted to wear my Pearl Harbor hat, but I didn't. I didn't even try it on. This is neither here nor there. The point of what I'm getting at here is I do love me some Christmas because I always get something cool. Sneaky, the biggest problem, major self-reflection moment here for me. The biggest quote unquote problem that I know I will have someday with being a father is that I will no longer be the primary focus of Christmas. Because we will have to shift that focus. Rightfully, it's not unjust. I get that we have to do this. It's the right thing to do as parents. But I'm like, it's such a fucking disaster for Maddie to have to navigate. What's the opposite of retroactive? Like proactive? Is that what it would be? proactively for Maddie, I don't know, this is going to be a minefield that she has to navigate, because she doesn't just have to help me make our son happy on Christmas. Listen, I still need my shit. You know what I mean? I still need my presents. It's like when you talk about like red flags, like, you know how that's been a big thing for the last like years, like, what are your red flags? One of mine would be just like how materialistic I am. But another one that I'm really getting off the beaten path here. I was supposed to talk about Thanksgiving. You know what another red flag that I have is that Maddie hates, my girlfriend hates this. I am so headstrong on the separate the art from the artist that, like, you could show me the worst person in the world, but I will still try to identify what their redeeming qualities are, and then I will cling to those and be like, well, I don't care about the X, Y, and Z. Like, what about this thing? Like, I do the thing all the time. I'm half kidding about it just because I think it's funny, but there's also the part of me, I've explained this before, like, some of it is like not inner child, because like I was a teenager when he but those were still really formative years, and so I just like refuse to believe that he's it's not that I refuse to believe that maybe he is a bad guy, but there's the part of me that's like, he had a game winner against and was like, oh, unbelievable. Like, in the, you know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to not like just because he did that shit? You know what I mean? Some of you out there screaming at your, yes, Nick, that actually, well, it doesn't to me, because I still like him. And if he was a, there's so many fans who are like, I don't like that I'm doing this right now. Let me move off of this and just move on to somebody else. That's another one. I, to this day, am like, if I saw, and by the way, he did that shit. He, like, I actually won't. No, Nick, if you're going to defend him, you got to say it. Wow. But he did, right? But it's still, to me, it's, and he's so dreamy. And I'm like, you did, and you did, and I'm like, you're, I just love me some. Another one, really digging myself a grave here 8 minutes into today's program. Leonardo DiCaprio. I have been consistent with this one. Listen. Leonardo DiCaprio may have a problem with, like, the, you always look back and you're like, man, Lawrence Moroney was a problem. CeCe Sabathia was a problem. If you're an Israeli model between the ages of 18 and 22, Leonardo DiCaprio is a capital P problem. But then after you turn 23, you don't even exist to him anymore. It's weird. It's weird. And I don't want to say, well, at least he waits till they're 18, because that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean when I say that. But also, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. That guy did The Revenant. Some of you out there, that guy did The Wolf of Wall Street. He did Don't Look Up. He did Titanic, by the way. Are you really going to be the guy that tears down Leonardo DiCaprio's career? No, probably not. Probably not. It's going to be pretty hard to, how do I want to phrase this? Nick, how do you want to phrase this? I'm curious to know. How do you want to phrase this? I don't. Another one. I was sitting here today watching the NFL slate. By that, I just mean the Lions game. I was thinking about OJ. And I'm like, I wonder what he's doing. Oh my God, he's dead. OJ Simpson not alive anymore. He's not alive. Pancreatic cancer? Is that what it was? Nobody knew. I didn't even know he was sick. To this day, since this show's inception, the most frantic I have ever been to get in front of a camera behind a microphone. Orenthal James Simpson, dead at 76, out of nowhere. I'm still blindsided by that. You talk about separating the art from the artist. The guy rushed for like 2,000 yards in a season. 11,000 yards in his career. Yeah, he killed his wife and he killed a waiter. Brutally. He brutally murdered them in Brentwood. But he was the juice. And I wasn't alive for all of that shit. It happened before I was even conceptualized. Not even conceived. I mean, as an idea. I was nowhere to, you know what I mean? It's 4 years before I was born, the Bronco chase. the trial of the century. So it's mythologized to me. If anything, he's the juice. I've only known OJ as A, an inmate when he tried to get his Heisman back, and B, one of the funniest people I've ever seen on social media. So yeah, it's actually pretty easy for me to be like, this guy kind of fucking rules. I don't know. This is a red flag. I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays. It's a weird inner child feeling that I have. And I'm excited this year. Now, some of you, if I don't address this, will still ask, so what's my plate look like on Thanksgiving? I'm a picky eater, so it's nothing crazy. I have a boring plate. Throw some turkey on there, throw some ham on there, throw some mashed potatoes on there, throw some olives on there, green or black. Only if the green ones are pimento stuffed, though. I don't want to do anything else. If the cheese in there, oh my God, go away. Hell no. What else is on there? Put some bread on there. Put a little bit of stuffing on there. Got some gravy. Hook that shit up. Put some gravy on there. What's the Thanksgiving? Mac and cheese, obviously, putting some mac and cheese on there. Nothing too crazy, though. I don't go too far off the beaten path as to, what you would consider traditional Thanksgiving food. We went grocery shopping today. Oh, here's an update on my health plight. In the previous episode, we talked about how I have a newfound fear of kidney stones. And one of the biggest, ways that how do you say this? You get kidney stones if you have too much sodium in your diet. I have a lot of sodium in my diet. And so I'm just the right thing to do, even though I am technically healthy, especially weight wise, sure, my BMI probably isn't great, but I hover between 170 and 180. Those are, that 10-pound range is it's a good range for me. But I guess it could be better in terms of fitness, because when I'm playing basketball for 20 minutes, I'm I just feel bad. I'm I should maybe start to figure something out, because I don't want to be in a wheelchair when my kid's in high school. You know what I mean? So we went to the grocery store today. I'm getting grapes. I ate cucumbers today. Cucumbers and grapes. Basically just water. All that is. The thing that I was saying to you guys, which I still won't say what it is because it's fucking sinister, that I eat for breakfast every single day that accounted for 49% of my daily sodium intake. Guess what? I'm out of those. We went to the grocery store. I didn't get any more of them. Instead, I got the aforementioned stuff. I also got some chicken and broccoli. Got some lightly salted Lay's. Maddie told me that lightly salted potato chips are basically the Diet Pepsi of chips. It doesn't count, but all right. And then on top of all that, got a case of beer and some pop. Because, I'm not doing the whole thing at once. I got to baby step this thing. I can't promise that in a month I'll just be fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. I want to eat like a hog again. Maybe I still will do that. I'm excited for Thanksgiving, though. No episode on Friday. Going to be hopefully in a food coma. Hopefully. Hey, you know what else happened since we last taped the show? Kendrick Lamar dropped an album. A whole full-length project. That was a real thing that happened. The day that the last episode released. Dog, I'm literally sitting here. It's 11:30 in the morning. And I just with my kid, just hanging out. We're just doing dad stuff. And I open YouTube and I see Kendrick has uploaded this 1 minute promo video. And I was oh, word. That's cool. I sent it to my brother. I'm looks like he's got something full length coming down the pipeline right in time for the Super Bowl. He responds. He's dog. And by the way, when I sent him that, the video had only been out for 17 minutes. I was on top of it immediately. It had just happened, right? And he responds, he's dog, it looks like he just dropped the whole album. I'm what? Rubbing my eyes like a damn Looney Tunes character. What? He did what? And so I look at YouTube. Yep, there's the whole thing. Go to Spotify. There's the whole thing. So within the first 20, 30 minutes of him releasing it, I was already knee deep in this thing, right? I'm listening immediately. I dropped everything. I'm sitting here. My son's in a bouncer. I'm moving him around so he's happy while it's playing on Spotify on my PS5 on the TV. I was listening to it with my kid, my 7-month-old, almost 7 months old, by the way, in real time. So, Nick, what did you think about it? It was my favorite thing that he's put out. If we're taking all of the diss track shit, if we're not, like, because that, yes, it's part of his discography, but like, again, in terms of like full length projects, it's my favorite thing that he's put out since T-Pab. Since To Pimp a Butterfly, I think this is Kendrick Lamar's best work. Like, hands down, I don't even think it's close. The reason that I say that is just very literally from like a replayability factor. Like, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers conceptually was beautiful. I always felt like my experience with that record was always that it needed to be, you kind of just needed to listen to all of it at once. That was a big critique of it at the time, was that it didn't have any club records on it, right? There were no singles, there were no hits on there, because that's not really what the point of the album was. It was like a deep reflection of Kendrick Lamar, like putting the mirror up to himself and just kind of therapeutically spitting for like 15 tracks, or, you know, however many it was. And so it wasn't the point. And that's not to say that I won't go back and listen to, was it We Cry Together? Like, I'll listen to that. I'm sure there are some other ones on there that if I had the track listed in front of me, I'd be like, yeah, like that's one. That's N95 that was on there, right? Yeah, there are some on there, but you know what I mean. And then Damn was cool. Like, obviously, DNA, Humble, Love. There were tracks on there for sure. But I think from a front to back experience, again, in terms of replayability, there were a lot on there. I was like, whoa. We're on track number 1. I'm stank facing 90 seconds into this thing? What? I feel like I'm going to war, is what I felt like. You know, a big note that I had actually was the biggest pushback that I had on what the Zeitgeist's reaction to this whole thing was. So, is it Reincarnation? Which one is it? That song. Everybody's like, oh, he's channeling his inner Pac. Agreed with that. Sounds like Tupac. Agreed. West Coast, like, yep, for sure. I'll give you that. But everybody said it sounded like Hit 'Em Up. I thought it sounded more like How Do You Want It? Not really the beat, but just his flow. What was the love the way you activate your hips and push your ass out? Gotta know a wanting it so bad I'm about to pass out. Wanna dig you, and I can't even lie about it. Baby, just alleviate your clothes. Time to fly about. Catch me at a club. Oh shit, you got me feeling. I lost it. If I was listening to How Do You Want It by Tupac, because that's my favorite Tupac song, right? I thought the flow was similar to that. Maybe it's semantics to be like, actually, it sounded like this song, not like the most commercially known Tupac song. It sounded like one that was a fractionally deeper cut. How Do You Want It? Not that deep of a cut, but, you know. Again, it's semantics. It's like, nah, it still sounded like Tupac. Yeah, it was awesome. I'm really bearing the lead here. Mustard! It's been my whole fucking personality this weekend. Oh my God. I am really trying to rack my brain the last time I listened to any album, and I felt like I was having like an out-of-body experience when Kendrick Lamar yelled mustard on TV off when the beat switches. I was like, this is more of a visual thing for you at home in the car. Just listening to this episode, I'm going to do like sort of a visual gag here. Mustard! And I'm over here like, I'm fucking going crazy, dude. My head was exploding. I just haven't experienced anything like that, especially not this year in 2024. So that was really, really fun. It was a good record, man. I had a lot of fun listening to it. And when I say replayability, like I've only gone back, like Squabble Up. Finally, we got the full length, edition of that song. We had originally just heard the intro of it the intro to the video for Not Like Us. It was cool. I mean, the whole album was basically just like, y'all are fucked up. If Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was, damn, I'm fucked up, then this one was y'all. It's actually y'all that are fucked up. He got SZA twice. For this one. And so I'm like, the first time I heard her, I was like, whoa, wait a second. Wait. Because then I'm like in my head doing the timeline. I'm like, okay, so like 10 years ago, like Drake and SZA like maybe had a thing, did have a thing. What happened with them? And then they do Kendrick and SZA on Control, SZA's album, like her breakout album. do a song together. Was it Doves in the Wind? I think it was Doves in the Wind. So it was like, and at the time there was no like, oh, whose side are you on? And then wasn't it on For All the Dogs that SZA hopped on? What song was it? I want to say it was Slime You Out. I don't think that's what it was, but you know, and like the B side of this whole record For All the Dogs, SZA does a track with Drake. Finally, they hook up. Okay. And then right after that, Drake comes out with Push Ups. SZA got you wiped down. Savage got you wiped down. Travis got you wiped down. So, okay, Drake is kind of insinuating, I got SZA collared right now. And then SZA's like, the fuck? Hell no, you don't. I'm about to go do 2 tracks with Kendrick on this new record. She's just here to make hits, is really all that it is. And good for her. God bless her heart for that. Because what's the hit count right now? She's got like 3 with Kendrick. Sounds like she might have 3 with Kendrick and none with Drake, is what it might be. So I guess we're putting SZA in like the... Again, I don't think she actually would even gives a shit about this at all. She's just here to make music. But if you're like me and you're looking at it, or like most people, and you're like, so whose side are you on? You got to pick a side, even though the more removed we are from that. You have like Future and Metro coming out being like, who fucking cares? All that shit was gay. Who fucking cares? Future was like, I wasn't mad about it, so why were y'all mad about it? Still trying to... A lot of people mad about the Lil Wayne bar that he had. I feel like I've said a lot of really positive shit about this. So let me just kind of like, I'm not mad, but I am kind of like, as a dude who's grown up being more in the Drake camp, but it's not even about that to me. Like, it's really not about that to me. Like, again, if you're doing the whole pick a side thing, like, I didn't care who, quote unquote, won the beef. I was more interested in, like, just the fact that these dudes were coming out of the woodwork at motherfucking capital R rapping. That's what I cared about, that we were getting hits like every other day. And this, honestly, this full-length release felt a little bit reminiscent of that, where you just, like, you were like, wait, what? Kendrick Lamar is classist? He's against the working class, and he drops this in the middle of a workday? Not at, like, midnight, like most people, like most normal people would. The soft word out there is that his own label found out that he was releasing it that day, like that morning, like hours beforehand. Kendrick basically woke up and was like, oh, yeah, push the button. And that was it. And that's it. So what am I trying to say? Like, I'm mad. Drake just can't do that. Even if I get removed from this moment and I'm like, yeah, the album is like a 7 out of 10. Because right now I would be leaning like 8. Like, I thought it was really good. Drake can't do that anymore. He just doesn't. Because what he does is victory lap rap, where he's just like, damn, my life is so cool and I have so much expensive shit. Like, you can't even relate to him anymore, you know? At least Kendrick is willing to be introspective in a way that is relatable, where when Drake does that, it feels kind of fabricated in a way. You're like, what are you talking about? Did this story actually happen? Or are you just like putting pen to paper and like writing some fiction? You know what I mean? I don't know. What do I know at the end of the day? I only listen to this shit not even for the lyrics. I listen to it for the vibes. And that's what I like so much about this from Kendrick, was just like the vibe that it put off. I thought was more fun. It's the reason that I like Jaden Smith, by the way, is because he's about cultivating a vibe. And like, how does this make you feel when you listen to it? Who gives a fuck about what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Just how does it make you feel when you listen to it? I think sometimes Lil Yachty's that same way too, by the way, which is why I like him so much. So like, when you get into these, because the motherfuckers who are like, Kendrick Lamar, oh, y'all don't know what he's saying, like he's rapping in Morse code. I'm not one of those girlies, and the people who are, I detest. They're annoying. He speaks in plain English, and people think that you have to have like a master's degree in socioeconomics and political science to understand what he's fucking saying. You don't. Just go on Genius and read it, and you'll be able to decipher it yourself. Good record, though. Folks, let's talk a little bit about the NFL this week. I have good news, I guess. It's that I only watched one game. The slate this week sucked. There was like no interesting consequence at all. If the Niners-Packers, if Brock Purdy was playing, like maybe that would have been interesting. How did that one end up going? I saw the Packers were up 17-7. It was like, all right, well, I literally don't need to turn this on at all. The Lions game happened, and then we just did some grocery shopping, and I was like, we didn't need to watch anything. The Commanders game actually definitely had some crazy moments. Again, wasn't watching that one live, but I did see all of the all of the main bullet points of how that game ended. Whoops. After the fact. But Commanders fans, you know what my takeaway is from an otherwise devastating loss? It's like, yeah, that sucked a lot. Especially when you consider the fact that technically on paper, with how this season has gone, Commanders should have won that game because the recent history would suggest that the teams who are sub 500 playing the Commanders get the crap kicked out of them. That's who Washington knows how to beat, is the teams who are bad. And it's the teams who are above 500 who are good that Washington's like, their brains start to spark out. They're like, what? How do we beat this team? But if I'm a Commanders fan right now, it's going to be hard to get through on this point to you, like right now, but wait like a few days when you're removed from it. Just think about it this way. If the San Francisco 49ers right now are experiencing a season from hell, the Commanders are experiencing like a season from hilarity, right? You had the Bears game, which you shouldn't have won. Well, no, you actually should have. Even without the Hail Mary, it was insane that it even got to that point at all. Because the Commanders just like kept getting into the red zone. They kept getting onto the Bears side of the field. They just kept kicking field goals. That game should have been 50-0. But they still ended up pulling it off, so like whatever, right? It's a really, really fun game, though. Electric game. Yeah, you lose this game in brutal fashion. Seibert misses the extra point. All you had to do was make it. Terry McLaurin did everything in his power. Jay Daniels did everything in his power to win this game in the last minute of it, right? But, like, for all intents and purposes, you have a brand new owner. Not like brand new, like the plastic's been off for a little bit, but he's lightly used and has only recently gotten his regime, his preferred regime, into the building, right? And what comes with that is your brand new coach. Things seem to be going well in that department. Your brand new OC in Cliff Kingsbury seems to be going pretty well in that department too. Additionally, you have a refreshed roster. You got Austin Eckler in the backfield. You got Jaden Daniels at quarterback taking snaps for you. For all intents and purposes, probably the rookie of the year, the offensive rookie of the year in the NFC this year. You weren't going to do that much this year in terms of like, oh, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. That's not even what the year began with expectation-wise for the Commanders. But like, look where you are now. And like, I don't know. Foundationally, could you have asked for a better first season under this new regime? It's not over, by the way. It's not even over, by the way. It's just a brutal loss to the Cowboys, to a divisional rival, which is the biggest piece of this, the hardest part to swallow if you're a Commanders fan. I cannot zag my way out of that one. That just really sucks. Cooper Rush is just like the backup quarterback from, I mean, he's just awesome. Went to a local high school near me where I grew up. Everybody that ever went there, except for one kid that I know was an asshole, hated everybody went there, went to Catholic Central. Did he go to CC Detroit or CC Lansing? I don't remember which one it was. I think he went to CC Lansing, which is really too bad, but also just cool because he went to a high school. They're like, oh, yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Oh, whoa. That's cool. Right? So, okay, Commanders, we talked about your guys' team. Let's talk about the Lions. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions. 24-6 over the Indianapolis Colts. Last week, I sat here and did not say a single word about the drubbing of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We beat them 52-6. Had a lot of you out there being like, the hell, did he just not talk about the fact that the Lions were plus 46, put up over 600 yards of total offense, and had 38 first downs, all of which were franchise records? You're exactly right. I did not talk about it. Did not say a single word about it because two things are true. One, at some point, the Lions can only score so many points and me get up here and tell you about how good they are. You already know that. Also, what was I supposed to say? Because with all due respect, the Jags have given up. They're not trying. I'd argue they're trying to get Doug Peterson fired. That still hasn't happened yet, has it? Did I miss that? Did that not happen? Did Doug Peterson get fired or not? I thought that was supposed to happen because before that game, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. He's going to get fired if he hasn't been already. It's weird, though, if I haven't seen that and it did happen. Again, not the point. Trevor Lawrence also wasn't playing. They, like, rolled out a JV team. You know, like, we were supposed to beat that team that bad, and we did. The other piece of it is, like, I just don't want to come off as, like, an asshole. Just because I'm really excited that my team has literally never been this good before doesn't mean that I want to come out here and like the Texans game, I had every right to get my shit off because that was a game that we had no business winning and we won it in the absolute funniest fashion. So now the Detroit Lions have won 9 consecutive games, beating the Indianapolis Colts today, and I have some thoughts. Number 1. I was worried about this one. I didn't view it as a trap game for the Lions. I viewed it as a trap game narratively for me, selfishly. Because he's like the one guy that I just kind of can't stop making fun of. Who's like the one quarterback that I'm like, he fucking stinks and people need to get over it. Anthony Richardson. And after how he played last week, was it against the Jets? Coming back from, being benched because he got sleepy for one play and the Colts were like, hell no. So they set him on the sidelines. They let Joe Flacco come in, and then they're like, all right, we can let AR-15 go out there. It's AR-5 now is what he's not even 15 anymore. It doesn't matter. And so I was worried that he was going to pop the fuck off because the Lions have, in the last few years under Aaron Glenn's defense, had a really hard time containing dynamic quarterbacks, especially with no Aiden Hutchinson for the rest of the season, seemingly. I was like, this is kind of not the quarterback that you want to play because as soon as he breaks contain, we could be in a lot of trouble. That first drive, it looked like that might be the case. I mean, Anthony Richardson is, 3 rushes for 36 yards. He's like 2 of 3 for like 40 yards. I'm like, Jesus. Still didn't score a touchdown, by the way. Only ended up getting 3. It was a big stop by the Lions defense. And then how did the rest of the game go? Yep. Oh, so he's just Anthony Richardson. Oh, okay. So we're in the middle of the fourth quarter. The Lions, I think at the time, were up 21-6, maybe 24-6 already. Anthony Richardson was 9 of 24 for 148 yards. Yep. Yeah. You know what the funniest thing to me is about him? When something goes wrong, he will overthrow a receiver by 60 yards. He'll throw it to a spot where the receiver's not even there. Hold on. We'll cross that bridge in a second. Whatever it is, it's never his fault. It's always him slamming off his chin strap and being like, you see him in slow motion being like, what the fuck? What the hell? Come on, Alec Pierce. You stink. It's never anybody's fault but you for fucking up the play. Now, if you're a Colts fan, you're going to tell me, well, it's not his fault when he throws the ball to a spot when the receiver's not there. That's just a miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver. I guess maybe the receiver had a brain fart and he maybe he has an option route and he just picks the wrong option. They're just on different pages. That's a chemistry thing. That'll evolve over time. But right now, that shit's funny. The other piece of it, the line wasn't doing him any favors. Does Quentin Nelson suck now? What happened there? What happened to him? I thought Quentin Nelson 4 years ago was like, dog, this guy's the future of offensive linemaning. And now he's just kind of stinks, I guess. Is that the wrong assessment? The other piece of it, and this is true. I'm not even being funny here. If the Colts made a big play today, whether it was hands to the face, ineligible man downfield, or a hold, it got called back every single time. There's even an offensive pass interference in there, which the broadcast booth thought was marginal. I was like, no, he just set a pick. That's just what that was. That was not bang, bang. He just fucking set a pick. That's what that was. Or he has a receiver wide open, and he kind of gets hit, and he just sails it. The receiver can't catch up to it. I'm like, this guy threw 8 passes in college, and he gets drafted in the top 5. Everyone's like, whoa. Now, he did have a throw on the run to Michael Pittman that I was like, what the fuck? It was just insane velocity on the ball. And he fit it in a shoebox. He fit it in a window that I was like, Anthony Richardson cannot hit that pass. He did, though. He cannot make that throw. He did, though. Little crosser. Also, Jonathan Taylor, just didn't do that much. He had a couple big plays. By big plays, I mean 12 yards, which is cool, but I'm like, what's going on with you? What the hell's going on with the Colts? The reason that I take exception to Anthony Richardson's body language being so shitty is because I'm like, you don't need Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark to walk through that door. You have A.D. Mitchell. You have Alec Pierce. You have Michael Pittman. I like Mo Alley Cox. I like him. You have Jonathan Taylor. Like, you have guys on your team. So who's the, you know what I mean? Like, that's the shit that rubs me the wrong way. What else did we get from this game? How about Jahmyr Gibbs wearing Fruity Pebble LeBron 4 cleats? Oh, my God. I sniped it in real time. I scored a touchdown. It was the one that he had the taunting call on, which gets your shit off, King. Who cares? Everybody gets to taunt every now and then. You get 2 unsportsmanlikes before you get thrown out. You might as well taunt every now and then. Just do it once and then stop for the rest of the game. Like, when is Jahmyr Gibbs otherwise ever going to get an unsportsmanlike? We've never seen that from him. But, like, taunt. Get your shit off a little bit as you moonwalked into the end zone. That was sick. He's wearing those. J-Mo's worn those this year. J-Mo's also worn foam cleats. He's worn foams. I had a pair of foams. I had an all-white pair. Got them on eBay, like $100. This was years ago. I mean, 8 years ago at this point. Loved those things. Love foams. Was a big foams girly. Fun game, except the fact that everyone got hurt. Second half seemed to take a really long time because we just like, oh, David Montgomery's hurt. Oh, okay. Oh, Taylor Decker's hurt. Oh, okay. Khalifa Raymond is hurt. Oh, okay. Carlton Davis is hurt. Oh, okay. It's the concern with games like these. The second half took forever because dudes just kept getting hurt. Sounds like they should all be okay long term, but like, dog, we have a game on Thursday. We got to play the Bears on Thursday. It's a quick turnaround. You got 4 days to get healthy. And Monty was listed as questionable, and then they just like, he put his pads back on, and then they just were like, you don't need to play. Like, just Jahmyr Gibbs can take us there to like close this game out, which is what it felt like in the end. That's what the Lions were prioritizing, was just like getting the hell out of there. You know what I mean? Major notes from this game, like the ha-has of this game, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs recreated, was it David Montgomery or was it Jahmyr Gibbs that did this? I think it was Gibbs. They recreated Allen Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue as a touchdown celebration. That ruled. And then, that's right, that was Gibbs. And then David Montgomery scored a touchdown, and his celebration with J-Mo was them shooting dice in the end zone. Very funny. A couple other big pieces of this game. Jake Bates scored the same amount of points as the Colts. Yeah. The Colts scored as many points as our kicker did. They had 6 points, and Jake Bates had 6 points. He had 3 extra points and 1 field goal, which, by the way, is from 58. He has not missed this year, and his last 4 field goal attempts have obviously all been makes, and all from beyond 50 yards. Additionally, the final note from this game, the Detroit Lions have not given up a touchdown in 10 quarters. Did you hear that? The Lions have not allowed a touchdown in 10 quarters. They also have not given up a second half point in 3 games. Teams have not scored a point in the second half on the Lions in 3 games. We've played some pretty decent offenses, minus the Jaguars. That didn't count. Well, it did count, but you know what I mean. So that's basically like the Colts and the Texans did not score in the second half. That's not nothing. That's not especially when we're as banged up as we are. Had Kindle Vildor, fucking Make-A-Wish kid, out on the corner today. I'm nervous about the Bears game, man. I'm just worried some dumb shit's going to happen. I'm worried about the injuries. And I'm worried that since the Bears fired their OC, that they might not, like, they stink, but they don't stink. They don't. You talk about another team that, like, has guys on offense. They do. DeAndre Swift, former Lion. I don't think he's great, but I think he's good. DJ Moore, great. Rome Odunze, great. Love him. Cole Kmet, great. Caleb, I like him. I got no problem with Caleb Williams. I'm just worried that something really stupid is going to happen and it's going to, like, ruin my... Because that's the other thing, is we just don't win on Thanksgiving. We just don't. We can be 10-1 all we want. But the truth and the reality is that in my lifetime, the Lions, more often than not, lose on Thanksgiving. And I could say this, for the first time in my life, they will also be the best team playing on Thanksgiving. Even if they lose, by the way, even if they lose, they are still the best team playing on Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's ever happened in my life. So that's something to look forward to. Coping Hour subs at gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. This one's a sort of a grab bag, sort of miscellaneous. Subject line, I don't even know. Comes into us from Clark. Clark, welcome to the show. Salutations, Nick. First time writing, long time listener. I'm a long-time Pelicans fan because when I was a young hooper in high school, one with no value on offense but perennial depoy candidate, and saw Anthony Davis averaging nearly 5 blocks a game at Kentucky, I knew that was my guy. I was devastated when he decided to leave New Orleans, and his two candidates were the Celtics or the Lakers, because those are the two teams that I refuse to cheer for in the league. Fast forward, and the same thing happens when Zion is at Duke. I'm all in on him when the Pels win the lottery. Dreamland for Pels fan. But since then, Olive Garden, bottomless breadsticks levels of missed games. He exists on the same cycle as Buddy Hield. He plays like an all-star, then he gets injured, and then he gets healthy, and then he has a few bad games, and then he plays like an all-star again. Is it time to give up on him? Ship him to the Nets for Cam Thomas, Claxton, and a pick or two? What even is his value? It's time to throw in the towel for this year, get a good pick, and hopefully do a Warriors-type turnaround. The fact that Yves Missi was our highest-earning player against the Cavs is absurd. A rookie. At least B.I. has been fun again. Brandon Ingram went to the Kevin Durant school of getting tough middies, like audible, get-off-the-couch, tough shots. And then you also included, who are your top 5 all-time bucket getters? We'll answer that in a second. Yeah, the Zion stuff just really bums me out. You guys see that video that he posted of him just like getting a tattoo, just walking around without a shirt on, like eating some shrimp, eating some food. He's like getting a nice plate together, just getting his back tatted. I'm not the body police. It's not what we do around here. I did not think that he looked overly athletic. I was looking at Zion Williamson's body and I was like, I have that body. I was like, that looks like me, but like with more melanin. You know what I mean? Like that's not that crazy of a body to be playing in the National Basketball Association. But again, that's not what we do. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I would be saying if we had a sort of different type of show here, you know. What do you do? What did you say? Cam Thomas, Claxton, and a pick or two? The Nets say no to that, right? I know that wasn't like, I know you weren't taking that seriously. You're just kind of throwing some shit out there. But the Nets say no to that, right? Just hypothetically. I think they would. Because then it's like, who's there? You would want to keep at least Cam Thomas in that deal. And I had a take the other day. I think Nick Claxton is the new Miles Turner. And I don't mean on the court. I mean in the trade machine. Where there was between, 2018 and like 2023, maybe 22, every team in the association at one point or another has kicked around the idea of trading for Miles Turner. Everybody's done it. And you've all been in the trade machine. How do we facilitate a trade for Miles Turner? He's always in rumors. You used to always hear him on like Legion Hoops. Oh, keep an eye on this guy, right? Scout with Brian. Used to always hear about that. And then what ended up happening? It never did. It never materialized that Miles Turner went to a different team, and now he's just kind of there. He's been through so many different eras of Pacers basketball at this point. I think that's going to be Claxton. I just think he's going to be a net for a while. And this could age poorly. But the reason that I don't think it will is because that's what we always said about Miles Turner, and we've slowly started to do it with Nick Claxton the last like 2.5 years. Oh, what about Nick Claxton? Maybe call Sean Marks, check in on Nick Claxton. I don't think it's going to happen. I would be shocked if it happened. What do you do with Zion? No clue, brother, but I'm bummed. I'm not even the kind of dude. If I'm a Pels fan, I'm like pissed off, right? But just as like an observer, as like a spectator of Zion's career, I'm just bummed. And I hope that this stops happening and that if him going somewhere, because I saw that report that was like, oh, I don't think I was getting Ball Sack Sports on this. I think this was like NBA Central, which I don't know how real of a source is that. It's like fourth-hand information, but you know what I mean. It's an aggregate. I guess Zion's representatives were like, yeah, he didn't want to be in New Orleans. No shit, he didn't. Oh, he wanted to be in New York? Really? He wanted to be in New York the year that they had a legitimate shot at winning the lottery, and then the Pelicans swooped in, having like the 14th best odds at even getting the first pick in the fucking first place. They won, and Zion wasn't happy about it. Whoa. Oh, my God. Brandon Ingram going to the school of, holy shit, what a bucket. For sure. I don't even have a, yeah, for sure. Who are my top 5 bucket getters all time in the NBA? Luke Babbitt, Monte Ellis, Kevin Durant, bucket getters, Carmelo. I'm not putting Jamal Crawford in here. I can't do it. You got one more, Nick. We got Luke Babbitt, Monte Ellis, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony. Come on, brother. Come on. I should be campaigning for Devin Booker, so should I say him? Matt Ishbia was like, nah, this is our team. This is our core. Kevin's not going anywhere. He didn't say Devin's not going anywhere. You can keep Kevin, but you can keep Kev, but we want Dev. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Mr. Ish? Mr. Bia? Is there any other player in the NBA history who's gotten a bucket like the previous 4 that I mentioned? I don't think so. I'm just going to give you my top 4. Like I said, it's just my top 4. I'll put Luka in there. I don't mean that. Well, I do. Yeah. No, I'm rip. I'm just fucking naming players. I'm not even putting actual comprehensive thought into this. I'm going to just stick with the 4 that I gave you. The other part of this email, we'll just end it there, brother. Thank you very much. Whoa. A slew of emails has just come in. Do you guys want to try something? We've never done this before. I've never read email. I'm talking like within the last 10 minutes since I opened this last email. I'm looking at 2 right here without vetting it, because if the email sucks, then it's going to be a whole thing, and then I'm going to kind of get pissed off, and then I'm going to start feeling bad that I read an email, and then I'm like, oh, this email fucking sucks, and then I made somebody feel bad. So the subject line for this one is first time emailed, and it comes to us from Tristan. Brother, this came in 12 minutes ago, so like on the fly. All right, let's do it. Hi, Nick. Tristan here. First time emailer and long time listener. Trying to catch you before Monday's show. Bro, you caught me as I'm taping Monday's show. So I'm really, really hoping you got something for me here. I'm not putting any pressure on you because, I am. I'm not trying to, because by the time you're hearing this, you can't go back and change it. But this is like it's not quite a first, because we had the dude who sent in the Reddit email about the Coping Hour Reddit, r/Coping Hour, like as I was doing the show. But yeah, okay, this is still kind of a first though. Let's get back to the email. I'm a huge Detroit sports fan and watch the core 4 sports as much as possible. Just got back into hockey 3 years ago, and I love going to Red Wings games more than any other team. In parentheses, you wrote, Lions tickets are expensive. Dog, they're insane. Back to the email. It has slowly turned into my favorite sport to watch in person. Would love to know your favorite teams to get tickets to. Whoa, what a funny question. That's not the rest of the email. Well, let me answer the first question. My top 3 favorite teams to get tickets to. That's a funny question. Not like what arenas do you like to go to the most, or like what's just the phrase. It's the same question, but just the way that you framed it is very funny to me. Man, I went to Wrigley once. That was this year. I worked there, but I mean to actually see a game was the first time that I went. It was this year with Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, and Rudy St. Clair, producer extraordinaire. We went to see the Dodgers. We saw Shohei. That was cool, but like I did the experience. Like, all right, we did it. Cool. Went to Wrigley. Are the Pistons even a team that I really enjoy getting tickets to? I love going to their games. Yeah, I have to put the Pistons on there. I really do love going to those games because it's such a weird sense of like, I very much feel like I'm home when I'm at Little Caesars Arena. I love the venue, and I just love the environment. Whoa, man. Never been to a Lions game. Oh, we went to a preseason game years ago. Brad Kaya was playing quarterback, and I hated. I've done my Steve Blake spiel where I'm like, when he would check into games, I would turn it off. I hated Brad Kaya at Miami more than I hated Steve Blake, and I had to watch him quarterback for the Lions in a preseason game. I think we were playing the Jets. So that was cool. but never been to a regular season game. Went to one Dodger game, like in Silver Lake. So I don't think I can put that on there. But also I kind of want to because it was like a childhood like bucket list thing. Like for my whole life I would watch Dodger games and be like, it's so beautiful, and one day I would love to go to a Dodger game. And then finally I just went by myself and I got to do it. And so I only went to one game, but I think that stadium is so beautiful. And the background, the not the landscape, what's the word that I'm trying to, the backdrop? Is it the backdrop that I'm thinking of? If you're sitting at home plate and you're looking out, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Chavez Ravine, as it were. I'll put the Dodgers on there. And then I never bought tickets to Laker or Clipper games because the tickets that we had were always free because they were season tickets for the company that I was working for. But that was always really fun. I'm trying to think of like a weird one, like an obscure one. Like minor league baseball games are awesome. They're really, really fun. Never been to I did see the Red Wings once when they played the Kings, when they came to LA and they played the Kings, which was really cool. So that's the only Red Wings game I've ever been to, was a road game. I went to the Joe once, and that was for a Michigan State hockey game. So it wasn't even the Wings, but I did get to go to Joe Louis Arena one time. It was maybe 2-3 years before they closed it and knocked it down. So it meant a lot to me to be able to, be part of that. Obviously, Tiger Stadium was way before my time. Well, I was technically born when Tiger Stadium was still a thing, but they stopped playing there in 2000. They knocked it down a few years later. So I was 2. Like, that doesn't count. Man, have I rambled enough? I haven't given you that many quality answers. Like Bulls games. The stadium sucks. United Center stinks. It's cool for what it is, but it's not a good arena with like good amenities. It stinks. It's fun to be there, but it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not good. Rams games or / Chargers games at SoFi, gorgeous. Probably the best arena. Bucks games. There it is. I knew that. There it is. Damn it. Fiserv Forum, the best arena I have ever been in my life. I love it. Well, SoFi Stadium is the best sports venue for sure. But basketball arenas, Fiserv Forum is my favorite. It's been there a handful of times, maybe 4 times at this point, to actually be in a game. I would say that. Very long-winded way to actually do your question. And then you finish this email with, I want to talk about my experience at the Red Wings game last night. To set the stage, I'm laying in bed at 6:30 and get a notification that they start at 7. I frantically got ready, texting some of my friends, seeing if anyone could go. Everyone had plans, such and such. So my mom came with me. First time we have done that. Super nice experience. We sat in our seats with our food and overpriced beer as the second period was starting. Game moves on. Boston gets a goal. My section is super quiet and uninterested most of the game. Not my favorite showing from our fans. Now, with 30 seconds left, 2-1 game, power play and goalie pulled. Chance to tie it and go to OT. I am the only one standing in our section. Some older guy behind me tells me to sit down, and I told him to stand up. Hell yes. Let me read that again, folks. Some older guy behind me tells me to sit down, and I told him to stand up. 30 seconds left, a 2-1 game on a power play, goalie pulled. Chance to send it to OT. Stand your ass up, old man. Back to the email. Puck drops and I hear another woman behind complain about me standing as well. Am I in the wrong for turning around and saying, if I wanted to sit down, I would be on my couch right now? And cheering on my team. We lost and didn't. God damn, what a good email this is. To just happen in real time and for me to not vet this at all. Big time, am I the asshole? Let me actually keep reading this, dude. This is just so funny to me. We lost and didn't really get a good shot off. Guy behind me says, you could have watched that disappointment sitting. If it was not my mother with me, I would have had a field day with this guy. Am I in the wrong for standing when we are in the most critical part of a close game? Should I have taken the Datsuk jersey off his back and burned it? Let me know. Tristan, goddamn. You sound like a fiery guy, and you strike me as and I find this to be very relatable, so I hope that this is true. You strike me as a guy who looks for confrontation, and whenever there is an opportunity where you could try to fight somebody, that you will take that. And had you, again, to your point, not been with your mother, you would have like pulled this pulled the sweater over the dude's head and just like fucking fed him haymakers. Put on some gloves and like put some tinfoil under the gloves, like in Slapshot, foil up, feed him some of those. Sounds like something that you would do. Oh man, are you a bad guy because you didn't sit down when people, did you say what section you were in? Because if you were in a lower bowl, I don't think all you said was we sat in our seats. Because I would say like, the higher up you are, the less likely it is that people will participate in that. You know what I mean? At least that's my experience. Maybe I'm off, right? But in my experience, the further up you are in an arena, the less likely people are going to like do the wave. And no, the wave kind of transcends class and like where you're sitting. You know what I mean? You could be courtside. You could be in the 300 level. You're doing the motherfucking wave, If one person says it, I'm going to be like, shut up. But if two people in my section, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're a bad guy. I would have caved after the first one. And I think this is going to be a big time. We need a constituency ruling on this. We need the Coping Hour constituents to weigh in on this, because I don't think I can arbitrate this on my own. I don't think I can rule this one way or another, because it has so much to do with who you are as a person and who you are as a fan and how you act in these environments. I don't think, even if I wouldn't have done what you did, again, because I would have sat down immediately because I just don't want to ruin it for other people. Not that you like ruined it for these people, but that's how I would rationalize it in my head. I don't think that, even though that is true about myself, I don't think you behaved poorly, because I've been at games where somebody won't sit down in front of me. And you know what I do? I look at the Jumbotron. I'm like, all right, fine. This guy's going to stand up, because I don't want to cause a problem. That's what it is. That's the reason why I would sit back down or just not even stand up in the first place. But I think I am stripping this moment of its context. The Wings are down 1 goal. There's 30 seconds left. They've pulled the goalie. They're on a power play. If there's ever a time as a spectator to absorb that moment and get into it, maybe if the people sitting behind you would have stood up and cheered louder, the Red Wings would have scored. Oh, you could have watched that disappointment sitting down. Maybe they just needed a little bit extra support. Maybe they just needed a little bit extra juice. Like, yeah, everyone in Little Caesars Arena does want us to win. Thanks, guys. I don't know. But now you'll never know. And now the people behind you will never know, because they were too busy looking at the back of your head and bitching at you because how did your mom handle this whole thing? That's what I want to know. Was she like, shut the hell up, leave my kid alone? Because I'm just trying to look at this through the lens of like, if Maddie or I were at a sporting event and our son was doing what you were doing and somebody was like, hey, sit down, that person would be dead medically. They would not be alive. I would be in jail, and I hope that we would have won the game, but Maddie or I wouldn't know because we would have killed someone. Although that's probably not a reasonable thing for me to ask of your mom. Did your mom go to jail that night? Did she kill someone? Or was she just kind of like, I don't know. If I had a few beers, I'd stand up. Yeah, at a Pistons game? Oh, yeah, at a Pistons game, I will get into it. I'll be like, I'll call Harry Giles a pussy. If you know what I mean? Like, I'll do it. Not Harry Giles, because he's like, I love Harry Giles. But you know what I mean? I called Ohio State's quarterback, not Will Rogers, Will Howard. I accidentally called him a pussy. I've never done that before. What I said about, doing it at a Pistons game, I was kidding. I would just be like, oh, you fucking suck. Like, not like you fucking suck, but like, fuck off. I don't know. Like, but what I say wouldn't cross a line. If I was the only person in the arena and the player heard what I said, it wouldn't be crazy, right? The first time I ever involuntarily said something crazy was Will Howard, I think, fumbled. I don't remember if it was a fumble or an incompletion, got sacked or something. against Michigan State, and I just had too many beers, and I was like, I was like, fucking pussy. But the whole 75,000 strong are like going nuts, so he wouldn't have heard me. But I still feel bad about that. I don't like Will Howard, but I don't think because I'm thinking about like his mom or his grandma that was watching that game, and I didn't want to be somebody who was contributing to being that evil and spitting that vitriol at him. He doesn't deserve that. He just plays for a school that I hate and that I don't like. But brother, this was a dynamite email, and I'm really happy that we read it on the fly. That was really, really fun. What do I want to say? How do I want to wrap this thing up? We actually got some really funny encounters. Whoa, dude, the emails are just flying in. We got one from Griffin. Is it too much coping hour if I recognize you explaining the Sixers beef? Oh, wow, that's funny. Okay, sorry, leave that out of the show. Griffin listened to the most recent episode of the Shoot Around and realized that something that I said was also exactly what I said in here. Yeah, that happens. If I have a take that I like or I think is funny, it would work in a stand-up set on the Shoot Around, I will repeat it here, and also vice versa. Oh, man, there are such good emails here that I don't think I'll have time to read this. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available it's my fucking show. I have as much time as I want, and there's not going to be a show this Friday, so I might as well try to squeeze this out as long as I can. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. Comes into us from Landon. Another one. Subject line, Jesus would not shoot threes. Hey, Nick, Landon here. Apparently the third Landon in 3 episodes. Longtime listener. Last episode, you asked for positive celebrity interactions, and I have one regarding John Collins. It was the summer after the Hawks conference finals run, and I see him and his family walk into the restaurant I was working at Aquatica. He casually orders $700 worth of food for 7 people, and as I'm ringing him up, I ask for a picture. We take it, and naturally, the only thing I ask him is, so how about Joel Embiid? And all he says in return was, fuck Joel Embiid. He then turned around and shuffled out of my restaurant in his soaking wet Crocs, squeaking across the floor like a SpongeBob character. Little did I know that 2 years later, Anthony Edwards would poster him so hard that he would get brain damage. That's one of the funnier ones that we got. There were some really funny ones. There was a guy who met Tim the Tap Man. That was probably the most random one. Shout out to the guy who was like, one of you guys met Ocho Cinco you were working at Dick's Sporting Goods. You met Ocho Cinco. Was it the same guy or was it a different guy that was like, and on a school trip, I went to a Hawks game and I high-fived all the players coming out of the tunnel. That's not what we were asking. That is like if you go to the zoo and you're like, I saw a lion. Oh my God, that was so cool. Yeah, that's their habitat, right? But I was asking, have you ever been on the street and you fucking saw a lion? That's what I was asking. I wasn't asking, you know what I mean? So there's a little bit of a difference there. Let's get back to the email here because it's sort of a 2-parter because the subject line didn't really match the John Collins interaction. Anyways, now for a fun story. A few episodes ago, you did a bit about a middle school basketball coach who was only there for the narratives. Well, I think I had the closest to that when I was in 7th and 8th grade. I went to an extremely small private Christian school, and it was the first year that we had a basketball team. We got this teacher's assistant to coach. His name was Mr. Steve. We sucked. Our first game, we lost 54-18. I remember sitting next to him on the bench and simply hearing him act like a broadcast team and laughing to himself as my team got our heads stomped in. Mind you, he wasn't just commentating. He was having a full-blown conversation with himself. One time, before a game, he had us all huddle up. He asked each individual player if they wanted to score, and naturally, we all said yes. Right after the last kid said yes, he said we were all stupid and said, quote, Jesus wouldn't shoot 3-pointers, he would pass, unquote. And then we went into halftime down 35, and he was just laughing and asked why we were not scoring the ball. He's like, this is a user error. You guys stink. This is not me. Back to the email. Wrap this up. There was never any chance I made it into the NBA, but I will always have the crutch of blaming this guy for making me lose my passion for playing. He believed in one kid named Pedro more than any other, to the point where he would make all of us run laps so that he can teach Pedro how to do hook shots and layups. We ran for 30 minutes straight once while Pedro got to work on his jumper. As a kid in like your formative year in 7th and 8th grade, what a horrible guy. And yeah, like you've processed it at this point and like, you know that. That's so sad though. That you were like, I think I'm going to play basketball. I think that would be good. Your parents are like really supportive of it. That would be great. That's like a really healthy extracurricular thing for you to do. Keeps you out of the house, keeps you doing something like safe, and like it's just athletics. It's good, you know, chemistry, good social interaction, all that. And this kid makes you this, not this kid, but this grown ass man is like, you fucking suck. You suck. You know who doesn't suck? Pedro. Go run some suicides. Go run some stairs. Well, Pedro and I get this work in the low post. What's Pedro doing? Did that work for him? Did he play at least like D3 ball? Because that would be enough. If he played D3 ball, then I think this preferential treatment is valid. Where's another one? Where's another one? Where's another one? There were so many. Oh, here's one. One more celebrity interaction. Subject line, celebrity interactions. Fuck Allen Iverson. From Nathan. Nathan, welcome back to the show, right? Nathan, are you the Cleveland guy? I'm looking at your picture. If you're not the Cleveland guy, I'm going to feel awkward and embarrassed. I think you're the Cleveland guy. So shout out to you if you are. Pretty sure you are. Unless you're not, but I think you are. Cleveland? Is that ringing a bell, Nathan? Cleveland? Anyways. Since you asked us for good celebrity interactions, I took it as the perfect opportunity to give you the reason I will forever hold a silent grudge against Allen Iverson. It's August 2017. I'm like 14 years old. Family vacation to your stomping grounds, Chicago. Whenever I stay at the team hotel for the Guardians. Aha! You are the Cleveland guy. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. There's always some potential for a celebrity, whether it be the entire Spurs team sharing the hotel with us last season or meeting the Blink-182 singer. This time it was Allen Iverson. My mom, toddler brother, and I were walking into the hotel from a Blue Man Group show, and I see this dude sitting on a chair in the lobby with 3 other dudes and a bottle of champagne on the floor next to him that was so tall it came up to damn near eye level with him sitting. I say to my mom, that's Allen Iverson. My mom doesn't believe me. I Google Allen Iverson Chicago in the room. Sure shit, a TMZ article pops right up. Quote, Allen Iverson spotted in Chicago casino as house is being foreclosed, unquote, from that day. I walk downstairs nervous as shit because I'm 14, go up to him trying to be respectful and say, you're Allen Iverson, right? AI doesn't even look up from his phone and says, nah. So I walk away all sad I didn't get a picture. Then, the next morning, posted a 10-minute montage on his Instagram highlighting a convo in that same lobby with some random motherfuckers titled, I love chopping it up with the fans. What the fuck? I was a 14-year-old, and I know damn well you're AI. So yeah, we'll forever hold a grudge against Allen Iverson. Would I ever remind him or say it to his face? Absolutely not. But I will silently hate him from afar. This is so valid. This is like Joker shit. This is like Joker origin story. Like, who's the guy that killed Lennon? John Hinckley? No, he tried to kill Reagan. Sirhan. No, that was the guy that killed Bobby Kennedy. Who was the guy that killed... I'm asking Siri. It's John Hinckley. He read Catcher in the Rye and was like, kill John Lennon. Who was the guy that killed John Lennon? Mark David Chapman? Bullshit. That's not a real guy. That's not a real guy. It was Sirhan and John Hinckley. It was John Hinckley. What did John Hinckley do? Who did John Hinckley kill? Hinckley tried to assassinate President Ronald Reagan. So I was right the first time. So who the fuck tried to kill Lennon? Nathan, that's going to be you. I'm not saying you're going to kill Allen Iverson. That's actually not that funny when I say it out loud. But if you did, it's 10 years ago at this point. I don't like this joke. It's a really funny story. It's a really, really funny story. Spotify listeners, what do I got for you guys? Will you just, I'm going to ask this in a few weeks, or not ask this, but I will ask for this data in a concrete way. Spotify listeners, when Spotify Wrap comes out, will you screenshot for like vanity reasons, also just for like research purposes, your top podcasts? I don't care if I'm not in it. That won't offend me. I'm just curious to know what it is that you listen to. So in the meantime, while we wait for that data to come out, Spotify listeners, your question this week is like, just give me like the 3 that you listen to the most. Again, you don't have to include the coping hour just to like appease me. I don't give a shit one way or another, but I am curious. YouTube, you guys can do the same thing if you guys want. Yeah, this is a general question. What shows do you guys listen to? YouTubers don't count. They don't count. I'm asking like people who are like, I'm a capital P podcaster. Unless it's like the Nightmare Blunt Rotation. Anybody who has a player podcast in their Spotify Wrapped. Anybody. That's my, just if you pick 5 of those people, that's my Nightmare Blunt Rotation. Unless it's Jeff Teague, I'll give this, I have some wiggle room on that. Retired players, they're just, I was going to say they like medium count. There are just so damn many of them now. I can't think of that many off the top of my head where I'd be like, no, that one would be fine. Jeff Teague is the only one that I'm like, yeah, that would be okay. Anybody who's like, no, I listen to every episode, you're fucking sick. You're disgusting. Gross. So there's your question this week, folks. If you're listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. Let me know in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Nice little comment for the algorithm. Did get a phone call from Primary Control the other day from a toll-free number. I didn't like that. I listened to it for a second. It was just a lot of like heavy breathing, and then he was doing like a grimace impression. And so I tried to like reverse engineer and like triangulate the position of where Primary Control was calling from. I could not decipher it. I couldn't really figure it out. It was like some like Da Vinci Code shit. It's like when you look at a dollar bill and you look in the upper right-hand corner and there's a owl. That's like where Primary Control is at in my head. I will catch you guys in the next one.